sure music is playing. Perfect. Okay. So supine butterfly, laying down on your back, soles of your feet together, knees splay out to the sides. If that feels like a lot for your hip creases, you can always wedge in pillows underneath your knees. You can add in blocks, just using anything that feels good for your body to be supported. Blocks within this practice, or props in general, are really just used to support your body where there's a gap between yourself and the earth. So instead of you feeling like you have to hold up and oppose the force of gravity, that your blocks, blankets, sweaters, whatever it is that you wedge underneath your body, essentially just hold you up and into place. Okay. You can allow your hands to rest wherever is comfortable. So that might be over top of your rib cage. It might be over top of your belly. You can always take arms overhead to a diamond shape or a cactus shape. And this week's intention is all about why. And so with each practice that we start together, we'll start with an intention of why we chose to show up on our mat. Because this practice this afternoon or this evening, it is completely different than any other time you've landed on your mat. The moments that have happened today are unique to this day of August of 2020, and they are unique to this timeline that you have been on up until now. And so even if you normally land on your mat for a specific reason, recognize that today might be a little bit different, and that's okay. That today might be easier to fall in sync with your breath and with yourself. And today might be more challenging. There are some days where, even for myself, to come to a yin practice is hard because it demands a lot of strength to stay present, especially if your mind is quite active. And so just start out with this unshakable grace. No matter what brought you to your practice tonight, that you will navigate all of those mountains and valleys, that you'll continue to come back home to your breath and to this reason that you chose to show up. Notice anywhere in your body that you are gathering and holding tension. Can you just gently release that space? Allow your muscles to relax their grip and just become softer. The yin balances out the yang of our day-to-day lives. The fast-paced busyness of creating and doing. And we just simply pause in our ability to tap into this feminine energy of grace, of gentleness. With your intention in mind, Can you offer yourself a space to land softer than you've started your day? Can you offer yourself compassion, kindness, cooling off any of that hot or spicy energy? And just simply allowing yourself to breathe. The yin practice is perhaps one of the most challenging to actually stay present because we've slowed it down. So many more distractions beg for our attention. But if we choose to just let those distractions fade, the yin practice offers us this deeper connection to self, to just simply sit with yourself. And know that today doesn't have to be about fixing anything or coming up with an answer. It's just simply about landing beside yourself in whatever intention you set. Soften into your glutes, the fronts of your hips. And stay present for the last 5 breaths of this pose. If you'd like extra support, you can just gently start to bring your knees back up through center. Heel toe your feet wide towards the edges of your mat. You can either drop your knees towards center or just gently take your knees to the right and over to the left. Sometimes movement is what you're craving, and sometimes we just need to pause. So take these cues and feedback from your body to guide you through each pose and each transition. The next time, if you're moving, that knees come up through center, pause and elongate out your legs, straightening them out. Reach your arms overhead and take a full body stretch as you inhale. And then exhale, just soften into place. You're welcome to take as many of those as you need to settle into your body. When you're ready, Banana Asana over to the right. Start to walk your heels to the bottom right corner of your mat. Feet can stay apart. You can cross one ankle over the other. Depending which ankle you choose to cross, you'll get a different sensation. And then start to walk your hands and maybe even shoulders over to the top right corner of your mat. Now, if you're like me and Banana Asana causes a little bit of tension in the low back, simply bend into your right knee and plant your right foot on your mat to keep your hips square. A lot of the pulling in the low back is because we start to lift up that left hip. So you can still walk your left heel over, but your right foot allows you to stay planted. Those of you that are quite tight in the shoulders, hands don't have to be gripped. You can cactus the arms. You can even release your right hand down and even bind it with your planted right foot. So this can be a nice, more restorative shape of banana. Otherwise, you're welcome to extend arms and feet out, crossing the ankles or clasping hands or wrists. Focus on your breath gliding down the left side of your body. And wherever your breath moves as you inhale, it creates more space, more opening or more lengthening. And each time you exhale, it creates a room for you to just settle in. Almost like you're nestling yourself into your own body. Listen for the sounds of your breath if your mind has wandered elsewhere. Your breath is an anchor that will bring you back through center when you've gotten lost in thought, in sensation, or in external distractions. Just like the anchor of your breath, your why or your intention also roots you back to this moment. When you're not living in alignment with why you showed up, there's often resistance, stickiness, sometimes feels like you're swimming against the current. Can you drop back into that why for the last few breaths on this side? If you do have a hold of your right ankle with your right hand, just gently release. Start to bring your upper body back through center, and then you can start to walk your heels in. Take your knees into your chest, arms wrap around tops of your shins or backs of your hamstrings, and just gently rock yourself side to side. If you're craving any other movement here, even as much as a happy baby, you're welcome to take that. Otherwise, you can just focus on this massage of your lower back. And just really simply, when you're ready, finding Banana Asana on the other side. Feet plant down and extend out. Arms can reach overhead. I always love to take that big full body stretch to reset and then just soften into your joints as you exhale. This time, heels walk over to the left corner of your mat. Hands and shoulders walk to the top left corner. And then if you want a more restorative variation, your outside leg, so the left foot, slides up and plants down. And then you can always take your left hand to your left ankle to create this more restorative bind. Know that you can also take your heels together or whatever variation you took on that first side. Perhaps you even take your gaze in the opposite direction than you placed your gaze on the first side. Just let yourself sink back into this moment. There are some times when teaching that I talk quite a bit to guide you through. And tonight I encourage you to take the role of that guide in your own pauses. You don't always need to be led or to be given the answer, because we already know our why. We already know why we showed up or what we need. And so in those spaces where we start to disconnect or we get overwhelmed, we know that we can come back to your intention and just start over as many times as it takes. Let go of perfection and just simply take this breath by breath. If you still have a hold of your left ankle or shin, just gently release. Walk your hands and shoulders back through center. And start to walk your heels into the middle of your mat. And one more time, bring your knees into your chest. Slight rounding of your lower back. Optional to add in movements, rocking side to side. Land yourself over to your right hand side. So you can release your feet down. Just roll yourself into a fetal position. Head will rest heavy into your right bicep. Fetal position is a pose of innocence and rebirth. And it's always this reminder for me of our ability to start over. You can come back to your intention, leave whatever didn't serve you behind. and just step forth into this beautiful, new, and expansive space ahead of you. When you're ready, you can start to press yourself up. Face the side of your mat today, so a little bit different. If you do need to move your computer so that you're not always looking to the front, you can just do so now and bring it to the side of your mat, as that's where we'll be for majority of the practice. So facing the long edge. And roll out your shoulders a couple of times. Just using this transition to settle into your body. You're welcome to start to play with taking little circles of the spine. This is one of my favorites. Just shifting your heart forward and over to the right and then the left, and then shifting back, curling and rounding. You can take some cat-cow movements, especially after being on your back for a while. It can start to feel a little sticky. So don't be afraid to find some movement if that's feeling good. Otherwise, you're welcome to just pause with a neutral spine and close down your eyes. About 3 to 5 more breaths to find a comfortable space in seated. Settle into a tall back. So stacking your shoulders over top of your ribs, over top of your hips. If cross-legged doesn't serve you, feet can come out in front or come onto your shins. Drop your chin towards your chest and just a little bit more movement before we settle into stillness. Inhale, breath. Trace your right ear towards your right shoulder. Keep both shoulders soften down your spine. And then exhale, quarter of a circle, chin traces back to your chest. Inhale, breath, bring the opposite ear over, lengthen out the right side of your neck, and then exhale, drop through center. And just continue this rocking motion over to the left and over to the right. Beautiful dance between your breath and your body moving. If you do want to take full circles, just make sure you're not cranking your neck back. It's more just of a lift of the gaze. And then slowly tracing chin from shoulder to shoulder. Whatever movement you are choosing, make sure that it is nourishing and it's gentle enough to release the tension in your neck rather than adding more. If this is feeling like exactly what you need, don't be afraid to stay a few extra breaths. If you're ready to move towards the next pose, the next time your chin comes through center, pause and just lift your gaze back up. Walk your hands back, lean into your hands to untangle your legs. Take your left leg to extend out long, and sole of your right foot comes to the inside of your extended leg. Now for some of you, this might be a lot for the knee to splay out to the side, so you can always add in pillows or props, as well as the heel doesn't have to be right in towards your pubic bone. You can always take your foot a little bit further out or even slightly out from your leg. So just finding a comfortable place to land your right foot. I'm gonna give you 2 options today. If it's a side body that you're really craving some opening in, start to slide your right arm or your left arm down your extended leg, and you can bend it to your elbow and you can hold up your cheek, or I like to place the palm onto the temple. Now your right hand can land onto your hip, onto your thigh, or if you're looking for a deeper lengthening, you can reach your right fingertips over. So you can play with this pose for a few breaths, see how that fits. Otherwise, if you want to get more into the hamstrings and the back of the body, turn your shoulders from the side of your mat so that they face your extended leg. Hands come to either side, and you'll start to fold yourself over top of your thigh, your knee. I don't have any blocks today, but you are so welcome with any gap of your body, either to your body or body to the ground, to place pillows, blocks, blankets, anything to support you. If you're also like me and you don't have those available, you can use your hands with bent elbows to also hold up your head, just allowing your chin to slightly tuck towards your chest so that you're not holding too much tension in the muscles that we're trying to release. If it feels like you're coming up against a lot of resistance and you can't settle or feel safe in your body, either ease out of the depth that you've gone to, or you can always play with subtle shifts. So you can always move a little more to the inside of your leg or more to the outside. You can lift further up. So really just listening to what your body's feedback is and then taking any movements from there. If a pose ever feels too long or too deep, know that you can always ease out, take a break, come back. Remember that this practice is for you and it's not for me or for anyone else. Come back to that intention as many times as you need a reminder of why you're choosing to practice tonight. Remember that when your why is clear, you don't have to worry about the how. When you're clear on why you chose to show up, the how will fall into place. And many times in a yin practice, I've had to drop the ego and ease out of a pose, or drop the busy, talkative mind, drop the events of the day that I was holding on to. But it all becomes clear in the path laid out ahead when you know why you are showing up. Gently start to walk your hands up your extended leg, about slowly stacking one vertebra at a time. Plant your right hand beside your right hip, so beside the hip with the bent leg. Lift up onto that shin and just reach over to the other side of your mat. Take a big stretch through the front line of the body. Left foot can plant, can turn out however feels good. And then gently you can release yourself exactly back to where you started. Okay, a couple of options for this next shape. Scoop up your extended leg, bending the knee, and then cross that knee over top of your bottom. Shoelace, pinky side edges of your feet are on the ground. Knees stack, but it's okay if there's some space between. You can always take a pillow or blanket between your knees or your thighs. If this pulls onto your knees, you're also welcome to plant your right foot and just hold your knee in towards your chest like you would in a seated twist. You're welcome to twist, but you can also just stay upright and hold here. Bottom leg can also straighten either with your foot planted or the pinky side edge of your foot down. With shoelace or half shoelace, or even the option to play with a twist, you can always fold your body hinging forward, or you can just stay upright. With so many expressions of the pose, there's a lot of moments to choose. And so using what you cultivated in last week to choose yourself, just choose the expression of the pose that feels right for you today. If none of these feel okay, thread the needle on your back. We'll get a similar area. So that's just where your right ankle will cross your left thigh and knees come in. So you can always make your way down at any point to that shape. The beauty with yin is there's never a perfect way to move through these poses, and that there are always, always, always options. It's a pretty good metaphor for life as well, that there's never a perfect way to move through it. And if something isn't working, you are so free to shift. When these certain parts of your practice feel challenging or heavy or resistant to the present moment, it's a beautiful reminder to come back to the intention of why you started in the first place. When we've lost the meaning within the practice, we remember that we showed up here to enjoy the space with ourselves, or to let go of tension or stress, or to create connection. And it's a reminder, if we're not doing it in that moment, to just simply pause, let go of anything that doesn't serve you right now, and just simply step into what has been waiting for you all along. If you have folded, gently start to make your way back up through center, walking your hands in towards your hips. Those of you that are on your back, stay as you are. We're going to find the other side. If you're in seated, lean your hands back to lift your knees away. Walk your feet wide and just gently wash knees left and right. If you're on your back, you can do this as well, just keeping shoulder blades and your head rooted down. When you're ready, this time, you'll shift your left heel underneath you, pick up your right knee to cross over top. If you're on your back, it'll just be the opposite ankle crosses over the thigh and thread the needle. Now, don't be surprised if you have more or less mobility on this side. Our body is different side to side. So instead of trying to force ourselves to meet an expectation, meet yourself as you are. This is a practice of choosing yourself, is to meet yourself where you are at. At any point, you're welcome to hinge and fold. Some of you may want to add in a twist, or you can just hug your knee into your chest. You can straighten your bottom leg at any point. So all of the options. Heck, if you wanted, you could take a completely different pose. This is really your practice. I'm here to guide you, but not to force you into anything. Be the guide for yourself, where it's just an open communication of what you need. Whenever you come up against resistance, one of my favorite practices is to look at that resistance as a closed door. That you are trying to get through to the other side. And you are banging on that door. You're knocking, you're ringing the doorbell, you're leaning into it. But no matter how hard you push or how heavy you drag yourself to it or how loud you get, that door will not budge. If only you would surrender and turn around and recognize that there are 4 open doors just waiting for you to walk through them. Yes, there are times where we can push through and force and find our way by just keeping going. But that doesn't always lead to nourishment of body or soul. So sometimes turning around is just simply not pushing yourself in that same direction, but recognizing there might be another way, a softer way, a more gentle way, a way that puts you first. And sometimes when we step back and ask ourselves, why am I banging on this door that won't open? The answer does not align with our ultimate whys. And it becomes easy to discard and step back into alignment of why you choose to show up. Take 3 more breaths wherever you've chosen to land. At the end of that 3rd breath, start to make your way back up if you folded or twisted. Untangle your legs leaning back. If you are on your spine, just roll yourself to either side and press yourself back up to face the long edge of your mat. You're welcome to add in windshield wipers if that feels good for your body. And then when you're ready, half butterfly or half dragonfly to the other side. Right leg extends out and sole of your left foot comes in to meet the inside of your leg. Optional to take this as more of a lateral flexion and opening, sliding your right hand down your extended leg. Left hand can just stay rooted, can reach over. I always like to support the head, so if you can bring your cheek into your right hand. If you prefer more about the hamstring opening, still getting into your left hip, square your shoulders with your extended leg and start to fold over top. Adding any props underneath your bent knee to support it if it feels like it's pulling up in towards your body. You can always take this a little bit more of a closed angle, so not spread out as wide. The tiniest of shifts can really make all of the difference. Sometimes it's physical, and sometimes it's mental and about the intention of this moment. Last little bit on this side and this shape. Can you soften anywhere that you're not aligning with your why or your intention? Anywhere you're gripping, adding stress to your body, even if that means coming out of some of the depth. Even relaxing the skin and muscles of your face. Just drop into the last few breaths. Take your time to unfold, whether your chest is to your knee or shoulders to the side of your mat. Plant into your left hand and just lift up onto your left shin and reach over. Maybe even send your gaze or your heart up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, you can make your way all the way back down onto your seat. Turn yourself to face the short edge of your mat and then just gently roll yourself down. Take one big stretch once you've landed on your back. Inhale to lengthen and reach. And exhale, let that go. Bend into your knees to plant your feet onto your mat. Pick up your hips and shift them over to the left. Optional, just lower both knees over to the right and allow your legs to stack. If there's a different variation you'd like, you're welcome to take it. Or the other option that I'll cue today is to simply cross your thighs so that your inner thighs touch, and then you lower your knees over to the opposite side. So this extra cross of the legs will bring you a bit more depth into the twist, but you can always bring blocks or props underneath your knees or thighs, or you can just simply untangle your legs. Allow your knees to splay out. Gaze can come the opposite direction than wherever your knees have fallen, as long as that's comfortable for your head and neck. It is always so humbling with these practices because things never go according to plan. And especially with the home practice, there's lots of distractions. There are things that don't line up or things that could have been better. And it's such a humbling practice to surrender. It is what it is. And we just simply take that next breath and realign ourselves in the best way that we can. On your next inhale, you can gently start to guide your knees back up through center. Untangle your legs, and then trust whatever your body needs from you, whether that's stillness, windshield wipering left and right, knees to chest, or big body stretch. Make sure before you come into the other side that you pick your hips up and over to the opposite side that your knees will drop over to. And then just simply find twist on the other side. There's no rush to come into it. You have lots of time to close off together. When we step into our why, we choose to let go of perfection. Because if we are realistic and truthful with ourselves, perfection was never the goal. But so many so-called mistakes or paths that brought us somewhere we never would have chose actually brought us to a new path or a redirection. And one of my favorite sayings when things aren't going right is that rejection is really just redirection. Rejection of a moment that isn't serving you is redirection to somewhere that will. Relationships, jobs, even within your yoga practice. When something isn't fitting or is sticky, it's asking you to show up just a little bit differently. Take 3 more breaths in your twist on this side. And then on your next inhale, gently guide your knees up through center. Before you landed Shavasana, take any movements that your body is craving, any final poses, so that you can land in a comfortable and restful place in your Shavasana. Before we fully settle in, I just want you to take a moment to review the timeline of your life, of any of the moments that didn't go according to plan, and how that actually catapulted you to where you are now. That each unplanned moment, each mistake, each challenge or brick wall that you hit along the way of your life, even just in these last few months or a few years, it's brought you to right here. And without those hardships, you wouldn't be where you are now. Those moments where we'd rather not show up are in fact a cultivation of why we show up. When something challenges us to our core to continue, we have to find a new definition of our meaning. We need to redefine ourselves to shift. And so for just a moment, sit in that realization that there's neither good nor bad, but just simply boundless space to move and shift and redirect. Maybe you here for just a moment and allow those thoughts to just saturate, or you can allow them to release and just take all the space your body, heart, and mind require for this Shavasana. Instead of coming up to seated, as it is a yin practice, and I really love being given permission to just lay a little longer. We'll close off here on your backs. You can just simply take your hands to heart center, laying down. Send some gratitude for yourself, maybe a reaffirmation of your why. And then when you do choose to come off of your mat, the moment you want to start moving, take 3 more breaths. And just give yourself that gift of slowing down and not having to urgently get anywhere else. So much love and gratitude to be able to connect with all of you from anywhere in the world. And for each of you for believing in my why enough to show up here. Namaste. Remember, there's no rush to come out of Shavasana. Thank you for joining me. And I'll just stay on to